Very good morning to all. This lecture is about cloud infrastructure services and the code is TCS 761. Myself, Dr. Sachin Sharma. We are discussing Unit 2 of Exploring Cloud Infrastructures, Kavo. Kavo plays in a very similar space to Write Scale, and this Kavo product is typically used for single click deployment of complex tier application in the cloud such as Dev, QA, and prod. It is also used to handle the demand, burst, and variation by automatically adding and removing resources. Runtime management of application infrastructure in the cloud. Kavo is also used for the encryption of persisted data in the cloud and automation of workflows to handle runtime production exception without human intervention. So these are the typically uses of Kavo. The core of the Kavo's product is also called iMod. iMod handles the configuration, provisioning, and changes to the cloud environment and across multiple vendors in a hybrid model. The major CIM players, Kavo's iMode sits at the top of the stack, which manage the infrastructure and application layers. There is one important feature in iMod is its multi-cloud single system tool. For instance, user can create a database backend in Rackspace while putting the presentation servers on Amazon. Meanwhile, supporting Amazon and Rackspace in the public space and Eucalyptus in the private space is a strong selling point, though it should be noted that most cloud management can support Eucalyptus if it can also support Amazon, as Eucalyptus mimics Amazon EC2 very closely. Cabo and Write Scale both offer scheduled ramp ups or ramp downs, which is dynamic allocation based on demand and monitoring tools to make sure that the information and internal metrics such as service level agreement SLAs are transparently available, and the dynamic allocation also helps to meet the demands of those service level agreements, and both Cavo and Write Scale offer the ability to keep the template as well as ease the deployment of multi-tier system. Jeeves, it's famous for its rock solid web server, one that didn't have a lot of market share, but it has a lot of fanatical fans and top tier customers, with Apache and to a lesser extent IIS dominating that market, not to mention the glut of load balancers out there. Jeeves took its expertise in the application server space and came up with the application delivery control piece of the Jeeves traffic controller. Jeeves it uses traditional load balancing tools to test availability and then spontaneously generate or destroy additional instances in the cloud, providing on the fly provisioning. Jeeves currently supports this on the Rackspace and to a lesser extent Amazon platform. So it's the brief info about the Jeeves, which is used for rock solid web server. Scalar. Scalar is a young project hosted on Google Code and Scalar.net that creates dynamic clusters similar to Cabo and RightScale on the Amazon platform. Scalar supports triggered upsizing and downsizing based on traffic demands, snapshots, which can be shared incidentally, a very cool feature, and the custom building of images for each server or server type, which is similar to the right scale. Being a new release, Scalar does not support the wide number of platforms, operating systems, applications, and databases that the largest competitors do. Sticking to the traditional expanded LAMP architecture, LAMP plus Ruby, Tomcat, etc., that comprises many contained systems. So it's the brief information about Scalar. Morph. Morph is not a true management platform. The MSP minded Morph products offer similar functionality in its own private space. Morph Cloud Server is a newer product on the market, filling the management and provisioning space as an appliance. Morph is aimed at the enterprise seeking to deploy a private cloud. Its top tier product, the Morph Cloud Server, is based on the IBM Blade Center and supports hundreds of virtual machines. Under the core is an Ubuntu Linux operating system and the Eucalyptus cloud computing platform. Morph is aimed at the managed service provider market. Morph allows for the creation of private clouds, and the dynamic provisioning within those closed clouds. Still up and coming, Morph has made quite a splash and bears watching, particularly because of its open source roots and participation in open cloud organizations. So this is the brief info about Morph, which is false management platform. CloudWatch. Amazon's CloudWatch works on Amazon's platform only, which has limitation its overall usefulness as it cannot be a hybrid cloud management tool. Since Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, which is also called EC2, is the biggest platform out there through Rackspace claims it is closing that gap quickly, it still bears mentioning. CloudWatch for EC2 supports dynamic provisioning, which is also called auto scaling, monitoring, and load balancing, all managed through a central management console. Students, you are also able to see these Amazon provided services on their website, on their platform, and the description is also there that how this service can be managed by the user and by the client. And the same central management console used by Amazon Web Services, which is the biggest advantage that it require no additional software to install and additional website to access application through. While the product is clearly not for enterprises that need hybrid support, those that exclusively use Amazon should know that it is as robust and functional as the other market players. So this was the brief information about CloudWatch. Emerging standards. The cloud standards have evolved but are different from United States and European standards organizations and also includes the Open Data Center Alliance, the Distributed Management Task Force, which is also called DMTF, Standards Consortium OMG, Storage and Networking Standards Group SNIA, and the European Telecommunication and Network Standards Group ETSI. All of the organizations are doing their own work with end users and vendors to establish cloud standards, which are then discussed among the organization. After the discussion, the organization they come up with the common protocol which every vendor and every user has to meet that standard. Cloud Management Standards by DMTF. It is working to address management interoperability for cloud systems. Technologies such as cloud computing and virtualization are rapidly being adopted by enterprise IT managers to better deliver services to their customers, lower IT costs, and improve operational efficiencies. DMTF's cloud management initiative is focused on developing interoperable cloud infrastructure management standards and promoting adoption of those standards in the industry. The work of DMTF working groups promoted by the Cloud Management Initiatives is focused on achieving interoperable cloud infrastructure management between cloud service providers and their consumers and developers. Cloud working groups. DMTF Cloud Management Initiative is promoting the work of the Cloud Management Work Group, the Cloud Auditing Data Federation Working Group, the System Virtualization, Partitioning, Clustering Working Group, and the Software Entitlement Working Group and Cloud Management Working Group. The Cloud Auditing Data Federation Working Group, Software Entitlement Working Group, and System Virtualization, Partitioning, and Clustering Working Group. So this was the brief information about DMTF standard. That's it for the day. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Thank you.